And welcome to Speak for Yourself. Marcellus Wiley here and all this good-looking pink. And Emmanuel Acho.
It's over for you today, bro. I walked into the dressing room today and I said, the war is not even a war.
Oh, really?
Yeah, not today.
Looks like you walked in late because that's it. That's all you got.
Sometimes, sir, that's all you need.
Simplicity. It works. All right, let's get it started. In Seattle, things are not so simple up there. The Seahawks are in a big-time slump right now, losing 3 of their last 4. And Russell Wilson is coming off his worst game of the season with 3 turnovers. Now, they're in a 3-way tie with the Rams and Cardinals for first in the NFC West. And tomorrow night, Seattle faces Arizona in a huge matchup on Fox. So, Acho, Mr. Simple, is Thursday a must-win for the Seahawks?
Marcellus, I loved picking this topic because nothing gets under your skin more than a must-win.
I hate you, boy. Well, I was on the phone with John Heller, our producer, and he said must-win. I hung it up. Then I picked it back up because I had to do my job. I hate that term.
Nothing gets under your skin
it's corny.
more than a must-win. But, in fact, it is a must-win for the Seattle Seahawks. I love understanding the context of games being must-wins, Sel, because sometimes you gotta win them.
Oh, explain,
you have to.
explain,
I will. I'm looking at the Seattle Seahawks. I was one of their biggest fans on television. You know this. For weeks, I fought Marcellus. I bobbed, I weaved, I threw my right jabs, I threw my left hooks. For weeks, I fought Marcellus. I said the Seahawks are the team to beat. 5-0. Russell Wilson cooking. Hadn't messed up one meal. 5-star meal. Chef's kiss. But then I saw the Seahawks start to take L's. Not one.
Not one.
Not two.
Not two.
But L's in abundance.
Yes.
An abundance,
Yes.
Marcellus, of L's. And then I had to look back, Marcellus. I had to evaluate myself. I said, Acho, have you been lying to yourself? Let me see what the Seahawks have done. They beat the Falcons. Well, Falcons aren't a good team. They beat the Patriots in Cam Newton's second start for that team. Well, Patriots aren't a good team. They beat the Cowboys. Cowboys, at the time, they beat the Cowboys. Cowboys aren't a good team. They beat the Dolphins before the Dolphins were starting Tua, before the Dolphins' 5-game winning streak. Dolphins weren't a good team. They barely beat the Vikings before the Vikings have now won, 3 of their last however many. The Vikings weren't a good team because Kirk Cousins was terrible at the time. So then I look, Cardinals, they're going to make the playoffs. Oh, they lost to the Cardinals. Oh, Bills are going to make the play. Oh, my God, they lost to the Bills. Rams are going to make the play. Oh, my God, they lost to the Rams. Sal, I looked at myself in the mirror as a man, and I said, you know what, Acho? You have been lying to yourself.
You're not a man?
The Seahawks.
Who'd you been lying to?
The Seahawks are not who you thought they were. They have not beat a playoff team, the only playoff team by schedule now that they've beat the Miami Dolphins, and they've lost to 3 playoff teams, the Cardinals, the Bills, and the Rams. If they don't win this game, Sal, the jury's done. It's out. They're decided. The Seahawks would now be 0-4 versus playoff teams, and depending on how you look at it, have one win. They'd be 1-5 versus playoff teams.
That was a very complex take. You know why? Because it was a bunch of lies. I told you, my grandma said the truth is simple and lies are complex. That was a very complex take because you never landed on what must-win means. Necessity. You never landed on what must-win actually dictates. That if you don't, there are dire consequences. They're not dire consequences if they don't win this game. Be real about it. No matter which scoreboard you look at, the literal scoreboard, which is the points, win-loss column, or the psychological scoreboard of, oh, momentum is away from us, or whatever you want to say, they're still in it. Look, mathematically, they're 2 up in the loss column from 2 teams that are outside the playoffs right now. Those teams are the Bears and the Vikings, and then the Lions we could throw in there. But Bears, Lions, are you really threatened by the Bears and Lions in their surge in the latter part of the season? Maybe you are, maybe you're not. But mathematically, who cares? We're 2 up in losses on them. And the Vikings, we own the tiebreaker, even if they want to creep up into this conversation. But they're still on the outside looking in. Right now, Seattle Seahawks are in the playoffs. Right now, the Seahawks are in first place. A 3-way tie. I'm just giving you facts because you don't have peace with process. And we get into this all the time. I have peace with process. Bro. Okay, I know you just moved to L.A., so I don't know if your security detail is up to par yet. And I'm talking about the one at your home. But let me tell you about peace when you're from L.A., when you know L.A., and you've been in your home for several years. My peace comes from the fact that, oh, I have an alarm. Excuse me. First, I have a gate. You must get through the gate. And then there's a moat. No water, but no dragons either, but it's still a moat. No, seriously. Then you have the peace of mind. My alarm's on. So my wife sounds like you. Did you hear that? I was like, I don't care what you heard. The alarm would sound. I trust in the system. Then after that, if I hear something and I don't care what my wife is talking about, guess what I could do? Check on my cameras. I can look and see. You are a person that as soon as you hear something, oh my God, go run outside in your pajamas after you just go off on some tangent that is not what we're talking about here. We're talking about must win. Mathematically, it's not true. Psychologically, it's not true. I don't know what you're seeing on the cameras, brother, but sit back down and watch TV.
Sal, the only meaning of true security is really dependent upon the neighborhood that you're in. You can have you grew up in Compton. Don't start fronting now for the camera. Don't start fronting now for the camera.
It was kind of peaceful for me in Compton. It's been an issue or two in Studio City, too. I'm just letting you know all these protesters.
It is dependent. But I feel you. It's dependent upon your neighborhood.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the Seahawks neighborhood. Let's talk about their neighbors. The Los Angeles Rams. Ooh, that neighbor's scary.
They gangster.
That neighbor came in and beat them Seahawks. We just saw it this past Sunday.
They don't do well.
Who else are their neighbors?
Okay.
The Arizona Cardinals. That neighbor's scary too. And that neighbor live right around the corner, right down the street. It's all about their neighbors. Before I go micro, I'm going to stay macro.
Say big.
In football, big dog, you know this. You are either getting better or you are getting worse.
Yep. Never stay back.
Patriots.
Yep.
They're getting better.
Okay.
Ravens, they're getting worse. Dolphins, they're getting better. Seahawks, it's unequivocally clear that right now they are getting worse. Okay. Now, if they can go out and beat the Rams, I would say, you know what? It looks like they might be getting back right. But, sir, they've lost 3 out of their last 4. Only team they beat is a beyond maligned 49ers team. So if in football, it is true that you are either getting better or you are getting worse. The Seahawks are clearly not getting better, losing 3 out of their last 4 games. So they are getting worse. So, no, they are not mathematically defeated.
Oh,
no,
so
they're not mathematically eliminated.
Not a necessity, not a must-win.
But you said there's several games. Scoreboard, game within the mind. The game within the mind of getting better or getting worse. Right now, the Seahawks are getting worse.
Where?
This man just said where.
Where?
Russell Wilson.
Be specific. Okay.
Russell Wilson.
See, once again.
The defense.
Oh, no. I knew you. Thank you. Boy, I'm a trap setter. That's why I don't get up. I'll be like, Bob, we got a gate, we got security, we got cameras, we got alarms. I ain't got to get up. I know where you're going to go, and I'm going to see you. And when you come in here, you're going to have to see me. And trust me, I'm coming with the homies. Here's the thing about it.
Not by yourself.
Oh, hell no. I'm scared. I ain't fighting nobody. Come, you can have it. Here's the thing. Got insurance, too. Here's the thing. When you look at the Seahawks, they are actually getting better on defense. Crazy enough. How many points did they give up last week? Yeah, I know it was a loss. 23.
You talking about the 44 they gave up the week before?
I said last week, and you're not listening.
37.
Oh, I thought we were talking momentum, but now you want to start to change the momentum. They gave up 23. Whoa, is that a season low for them? Tied for their season low. So if you're looking at it in the defensive room with Ken Norton in there, you're like Ken Norton Jr., you're like, damn, dog, we are all right. We're going to trend in the right direction if we're going with the momentum. You're talking about wins and losses, and I'm talking about wins and losses in the win-loss column. They're in the driver position. They're in pole position. But let's talk about this neighborhood. The Seahawks don't have to stay home. They have the easiest remaining schedule. There are 32 teams. Who has the easiest path in front of them? The Seattle Seahawks. Tell me, are you scared of these names? Eagles, Giants.
Hell no.
Not at all. We're going the wrong way. Jets, Washington football team. That WFT looks weird. And then you got the 49ers. You already beat them.
Don't skip over them Rams.
I skipped over them because they're scary. The point is, we're going to avoid that house, but we're going to still trick-or-treat everywhere else. But that's the thing. You're 2 up on everyone else with that easy road in front of you. How can it be dire?
Because one, you're already clinging for dear life. Seahawks are currently the 7th seed, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but
you're clinging. Oh, my God.
2 up.
Help.
Not 7 seed in a tie, not 7 seed up 1, 7 seed up 2. Come on, Wad.
Okay, but are we bragging about a 7 seed? Now let's go micro, because you went there. Let's go micro, because we're here. The Seahawks not only must win, but their fearless leader, Russell Wilson. The only 2 goals for the Seahawks all season: get to the Super Bowl and get Russ an MVP. But Marcellus, the lowest seed, and I got a full screen for you because I'd rather show you than tell you. The lowest seed to ever win an MVP, quarterback. You got to go to Peyton Manning, 08. He was a 5 seed. The late Steve McNair, he was a 5 seed, 03. You don't win an MVP, sir, if you are not a top-flight, top seed.
And?
Matt Ryan, he had 5 losses, but he won MVP because he was a 2 seed 2016.
Yep.
Think about Mahomes. He was a 1-2 seed. Think about Brady, 17. Where was he? If they lose and they end up with these 4 or these 5 soon-to-be losses, and Russell Wilson ends up as a 7 seed, sir, not only have they lost out on their team goals, because the goal is not to make the playoffs if you're a Seahawk. Russell Wilson's made the playoff every year except 1 year. So bump all these low-bar goals that Marcellus Wiley likes to set.
Wow.
You lose your big-time goals, and Russell would lose his individual.
How are you going to lose your big-time goals when you're in a 3-way tie for first? You all have the same amount of wins. Think about it. The team you're facing tonight, everyone's saying it's a must-win for you. We have the same amount of wins as they do. So why is it a must-win for us and not a must-win for them? Because they can find themselves on the outside looking in as well. There's a regression to the mean. That's why you need to have patience through a process. Did you really think that the Seattle Seahawks and Russell Wilson were going to be perfect after they were 5-0? You really thought that? No. And then at the same time, when they lose 3 or 4, do you really think they're that bad? They're somewhere in between. And that's going to lead them to the playoffs because of the road ahead. I keep telling you, bro, this MVP conversation was going to play out just like
That's what you called that. You called it.
I called that. And Russell Wilson shouldn't feel bad.
So let me ask you this. Let's be real. Are you giving no merit to the fact that the Seahawks beat 1 playoff team and have lost to 3 playoff teams? Like the fact that, and the 1 playoff team they beat is the Dolphins without Tua, without their top 5
But they were
pick.
playing well without Tua as well. That's why there was an issue with the transition. I would say this. It's going to come up. And it's going to come up in the playoffs. And it's going to come up to haunt them in the playoffs because they're going to go against a good team. But right now, the road to the playoffs is not going to go through a lot of good teams. So, hey, once you get yourself in the dance, you give yourself a chance. But Russell Wilson in terms of MVP, that's a wrap, big dog.
Okay, let's talk Seahawks on behalf of Seahawks fans. If you are a Seahawks fan like I am, if you're a Russell Wilson fan like I've been this year, if you see yourself lose to the Bills, know the Bills are a competent team. You see yourself lose to the Cardinals, know they're a competent team. You see yourself lose to the Rams, you know they're a competent team. You see yourself lose to the Cardinals again. No, they're a competent team. Marcellus, you have no hope to cling on to. You're clinging on to wins against the Falcons, who fired their coach after 4 games. Clinging on to wins against the Cowboys, who are also historically terrible for that franchise. Clinging on to wins against the Patriots in Cam Newton's 2nd start in a team and an organization which you have publicly admitted he didn't even know the offense of. So you have nothing. You have no real merit. As a Seahawk fan, because I'm speaking on behalf of them as one, you have nothing to cling on to.
But you don't need much to cling on to in terms of what you can accomplish in the playoffs or not. Think about last year. We were looking at the Tennessee Titans. What did they finish last year? 9-7. What did they end up doing? Going to the conference championship game. They got hot at the right time, whatever you want to say. They had a couple of good wins in the regular season as well. But point is, just get your butt in the playoffs, and then you give yourself a chance. Russell Wilson and his team is going to go somewhere between what they looked in the beginning of the season and what they look like right now. But this MVP conversation, whatever. You can't miss what you never had, and Russell Wilson's never had an MVP vote. So let's not get that conversation twisted. Coming up at the top of the hour, Ezekiel Elliott is on pace for one of his worst seasons in his career. We'll tell you if he has time or has his time run out with the Cowboys. But first, we have a lot to get into in Dallas. We'll break down who deserves the criticism for their rough season. Next, speak for yourself.
Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. Let's head to Dallas, where the Cowboys, they have seen better days. They're sitting at 2-7 on a 4-game losing streak. And yesterday, Jerry Jones told 105.3 The Fan that media's criticism of his team has been fair and added, quote, "I really think you've nailed it." Surprising, Jerry. But Marcellus, I got to ask you, should Jerry Jones be criticized for the Cowboys' struggles?
Answer you like my kids do. No. I understand why he wants to own it right now as an owner, because you can't escape it. So sometimes, even if someone is incorrect, you ever been in this conversation before? I do it all the time with you. When someone is just not going to give up the fight And even though they're wrong, you're tired of burning calories. You're tired, you're exhausted with the conversation. So you would just say, hey, you're right. Even though you're not right in a situation like this. Jerry Jones is not saying that these guys are correct. He's just getting tired every time he goes on this weekly show. They're going to ask the same damn questions till they get the answer that they want. So he says, fine, I own up to it. But let me talk for Jerry Jones since now he's been put in a corner and can't talk for himself. This is the guy who is an owner and general manager.
Okay.
Now, that exacerbates the problem because you're two roles. So people are going to say, well, we have two items we can criticize you on, owner and GM. Let's break them down. As an owner, can you really talk bad about Jerry Jones? What's the role of an owner? To provide resources, make sure them checks cash and make sure we have the proper structure. Can't fault him for that because he's paid guys. He's paid the right guys that turned out with the wrong production. Let's look at the general manager. A lot of people will say that's where you could get Jerry Jones. You can nail him right there. Really? I thought his job was to provide talent as a general manager. Enough talent to the point where they had absurd expectations. Enough talent where they were actually Super Bowl contenders. Enough talent that now we're saying they're underachieving based on the talent threshold that the general manager, Jerry Jones, provided. So if he's provided the structure, he's provided the resources and the talent, what the hell has he done wrong? Oh, Jerry Jones is the reason why everyone's hurt. No. Jerry Jones is the reason why guys don't want to really play up to their contracts. No. So I don't know where you can nail Jerry Jones in my first lap, but Acho, like I said, I'm exhausted with your takes, but go ahead. You might be right.
See, here's a problem, Marcellus, with you. You have such argumentative PTSD that you think I'm going to argue with you when I'm not.
Oh.
I sit here and you're just like, oh, God, what Acho going to say? Oh, my God, is he going to beat me down again?
Good boy.
Hell,
We're on the
same side.
What?
Brother.
Boy, you have come around.
If it was not COVID, we could hold hands and sing Kumbaya, my brother. It's not so much that I've come around. I listened to you. There was one aspect. The aspect I said Jerry Jones deserved criticism. All of the criticism was for hiring Mike McCarthy. The owner's job, I agree with you on creating a culture and a winning environment, all that great stuff. But the owner's job, hire a good head coach. GM doesn't hire a head coach. Owner, hire a good head coach. I don't think Mike McCarthy's a good head coach. I done told y'all I don't think he's a good head coach. But if we're going to listen to Marcellus Wiley has reminded me Mike McCarthy won a previous Super Bowl.
Yes.
So Mike McCarthy is a Super Bowl winning head coach within the last decade. Beyond that, Mike McCarthy told Jerry Jones to his face, I watched every Cowboys football play last year. If you, Jerry Jones, won a Super Bowl, he took a year off, built a football bunker where he studied analytics and studied all ball, and he watched all of y'all's plays for a whole season, I'd hire him too. I can never get mad at someone for getting into a relationship based upon deception. It's not your fault you were deceived. You're in a relationship now. You were deceived, so I give Jerry Jones a pass for that. Now let's talk about the GM. This is why I agree with Marcellus Wiley. What did the Cowboys need to fix last year? Interior run defense. Well, they brought in Dontari Poe, former first-round pick. Brought in Gerald McCoy, former first-round pick. Gerald McCoy got hurt. Dontari Poe, 30 pounds overweight, and took a knee on Jerry Jones's field. You know you can't do that.
He did that.
He did. You can't be overweight and take a knee. 2 cardinal sins against Jerry Jones.
Fat butt up. I'm sorry, too much.
Okay, what else did the Cowboys need? They needed to shore up the secondary. Second-round pick on 6'1" Trayvon Diggs out of Alabama. What else do the Cowboys need? Please bring Dak Prescott back. That's what the world said. Not necessarily what I said. It's what the world said. Brought Dak Prescott back. Not only that, Jerry Jones got the Cowboys helping CeeDee Lamb. So I'm with you, Sel. On my first lap, I'm going to spend time saying that we are right. I'm not going to say you're right, because I'm never going to say that you're right. But we, Marcellus, are right. Jerry Jones should be immune of the first layer of darts that people try to throw at him.
Yes, exactly. It's amazing that I think double jeopardy is occurring right now. They're trying to try him again for the same offense. What offense? Well, Jerry Jones has been the owner that has gotten his own way, a time or two before, which undermined the culture that they were trying to build. You could go back to Wade Phillips, you could go back to Jason Garrett, whatever you want to say. I don't want to call anyone in that position as head coach a puppet, but certainly you don't have the full power, autonomy that you deserve in that position. So Jerry Jones has been in the way before. With Mike McCarthy, I don't see Jerry Jones in the way. Mike McCarthy, I don't understand why he gave up play calling duties to Kellen Moore, because that's his baby. He loves to call the plays. But I think as an entry point to get back into this position as a head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, I think he read the writing on the wall and said, let me not fight for that one. That said, as the general manager, There was a time when you were like, why are you signing Ezekiel Elliott so early? I know he's the man. He was a 4th overall pick. We understand that he's a cowbell. He does all the right things. But this early, Jerry, you know the reason why you draft someone in the 1st round is so you can have him for 5 years plus 2 franchise tags, which is 7 years. Smart business is to get him closer to 7 than what he did, which was only 3. I understand that, but I don't understand that all the Cowboys' woes, missing 2 tackles, guard, center, missing Ezekiel's production, missing their quarterback 1, quarterback 2, quarterback 3, is all on Jerry Jones.
Let's go there, because so many people watching this are going to say, well, he paid the wrong guys. I've actually seen so many analysts say, you shouldn't pay the running back. Nobody was complaining when Christian McCaffrey got more money. Nobody was saying McCaffrey didn't deserve it. Keep in mind, Zeke was doing more for his team, even, you could argue, and across the league statistically as far as a running back and the running stats than McCaffrey was doing. Even right now with Kamara, you don't see people saying, why the heck did they pay Kamara? No, Kamara's out there winning games for his team. You can't be mad at them for paying Jalen Smith. Everything he overcame as an inside backer. Sure as heck can't be mad at them for paying DeMarcus Lawrence. Beyond that, what did Jerry Jones see recently, Marcellus? He saw a backup quarterback for the Eagles win a Super Bowl. So what did he do? He went out and got the best backup quarterback in the NFL.
And what happened?
And Andy Dalton.
And what happened?
Andy Dalton gets hurt. It's not Jerry Jones' fault that his players ain't fighting for Andy Dalton. It's not Jerry Jones' fault that his players are hurt. It's not Jerry Jones' fault that his defense don't play with effort. The only place I condemn Jerry Jones for is hiring Mike McCarthy and Mike McCarthy hiring Mike Nolan. But if you're going to grant Jerry Jones a pass for that, and if I'm going to sit up here and say, you know what, fine, Jerry, you were bamboozled, you were hoodwinked, you were led astray. if I'm going to give Jerry a pass for that, then I can't criticize Jerry at all for this.
Yeah, here's the thing, though. I got to attack you now because this is sounding a little too kumbaya. Mike McCarthy is a good coach. I don't know how good, how great, but he's a Super Bowl winning coach. There's not even a dozen of those walking around right now as active coaches, only like 6, actually. Let's look at this. 4-12, he inherited 8-8, 13-3 Super Bowl champions. That's what he did once he reset a culture in Green Bay. Now, let's look at this situation where he is now. Mike Nolan, you don't like him. But the last 2-3 weeks, this defense has crept into what? Number 11. No. Number 11 from the bottom. Look, has Seattle crept up to number 11? Has any other decrepit defense crept up like them? No. So that culture is starting to reset and be redefined. You have to have your nephews come over a little more, because I know you don't have any kids, but watch a little Moana. You know what? Moana always, in the rock.
I'm a Mulan kind of guy.
Oh, you are?
Let's get down to business to defeat. I'm a Mulan kind of guy.
Okay, well, I'm more of the rock Moana. You're welcome. You're welcome for all the takes that I've given you that now you're going to regurgitate and take for your own to give me some support. When I already told you how this was going to play out. Jerry Jones is doing the right thing finally. Super Bowl head coach, winning head coach. Now you have the culture that you want. You're cultivating it. You're planting the seeds. You're 1 game out of first place. Whatever you want to say about this situation, I think greener pastures are in front of them because of what Jerry Jones has sown.
The only issue here, because, see, here's a problem with Marcellus.
Oh, here you go, see?
When things are too good for Marcellus, he self-sabotages. We have a great conversation going. We're agreeing. Kumbaya. We never agreed on this show in such a manner. And here he is self-sabotaging. So I'm going to play that game with you then, big bro. The problem in which you are stating is this. This culture you speak of for Jerry Jones, he has created... The wrong people are being rewarded. What do I mean by that?
We going here?
Well, Jerry Jones, he established this winning culture based on the accomplishments of the early 90s teams. But who is being rewarded? These 2010 teams that actually haven't accomplished now one thing. And so as much good as Jerry Jones is doing in rewarding his players, which is adequate, remember what's gotten wrong is the Cowboys players have gotten success before they've succeeded.
Don't do that. What is your definition of success? Only the one who wins the Lombardi trophy? Because I'm talking about the Dak and Romo era, which is general manager Jerry Jones, third best record in the NFC during that time. Only behind the Packers and Saints.
How many playoff wins?
See, that's the thing. All I'm saying is you building a consistent winner. How about this? Consistent winner. I knew that you were going to move. If they would have won a Super Bowl, you would say how many Super Bowls? Because Jerry Jones, the owner, is sitting there saying 1, 2, 3, 3, 3. But you don't want to count that in his body of work. What you're rewarding is what's sad about what today's society rewards. You would rather reward someone with unintended consequences rather than someone who had a plan, but it just got derailed. Think about it. Unintended consequences. Tennessee Titans come to mind of last year. Did they start the season off with Ryan Tannehill? No. Oh, but then during the trade, you get Ryan Tannehill, and all of a sudden you go to the AFC Championship game. Unintended consequences. Go Tennessee. Jerry Jones has a plan. You talked about all the great draft picks, including Trayvon Diggs, who's the #2 corner as a rookie. That's a plan. And then things get derailed because of injury, and you want to poo-poo on that. You can't make it make sense.
The issue at hand is, do you reward someone who has a bad plan or a plan in which they cannot execute? A non-executed plan, sir, is not truly a plan at all.
Is this not a plan? What Jerry Jones has done? You can't execute an NFL, and it's a full collision sport. Dak. Is that on Jerry Jones? Andy Dalton. Is that on Jerry Jones? Even Diggs. Is that on Jerry Jones? He got hurt after showing some flashes of greatness. Ezekiel. Can you blame that on Jerry Jones? That he kept feeding him. He kept eating, and he started slowing down. Is that on Jerry Jones? Like, really, what can you nail on Jerry Jones? I'm waiting for someone to give it to you.
The only thing, and again, remember, I started this block saying I'm not criticizing Jerry Jones for this season. Let's not twist
but the viewers have left that, heard that, and the new ones are in.
I'm not going to let this man lie to you. The only thing I can criticize Jerry Jones for this is for creating an atmosphere. Because I worked for the Cowboys for 2 years. I walked in to one Frisco way, one Cowboys way in Frisco. And it's $1 million of chandeliers, Marcellus. There's the success, the accolades have preceded the organization in recent history. The only thing I can pinpoint to Jerry Jones is the star now actually means more than the players are making it mean. Ooh. And that, to me, is a bar. And we're going to read it.
Yeah, that was.
Coming up, Kyle Shanahan thinks Jimmy G will be the Niners starter next year. I'm going to tell you why that man is lying. That's next. Speak for yourself.
Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. Jimmy GQ is out with a high ankle sprain, and his injury increased the chatter that he might not be in the 49ers' plans for the long term. Jimmy G has gone 12 straight games without passing for 300 yards, but Kyle Shanahan still has confidence in his quarterback. Listen.
I expect Jimmy to be our starter next year. I expect him to come and play with us this year. We have 6 games left. We are not out of the playoffs yet. We got to do one game at a time, and I hope Jimmy can come back and be a part of that. But to think that we've made any decisions on anybody going into the future isn't the case. Jimmy's won a lot of games for us this year. It's a lot harder to win games when he's not here, and just hoping we can get him back.
Boy, those Zooms are getting raggedier by the day. You're like, what the hell was that? Half his face, some sunlight coming in. But Acho, are you buying that Shanahan expects Jimmy GQ to be the starter next year?
I call Kyle Shanahan to the witness stand.
Oh,
Marcellus, the first thing you have to do, first off, no, I'm not buying it. But y'all knew that. Y'all knew it was a lie because you've been hearing my voice. I'm calling him to the stand because the first thing you got to do in court, sir, just a little character defamation. If I can prove that Kyle Shanahan has lied before, honestly about anything, but specifically about this specific matter, then why in the world would I believe him now? Okay. September 30th, head coach for the 49ers, Kyle Shanahan, he said, Jimmy Garoppolo is our guy. There's not a scenario that exists where I bench Jimmy Garoppolo for Nick Mullins. This is Jimmy's team, quote. He's done a hell of a job for us. So when he's healthy, he'll be playing again for us, close quote. 11 days later, he got benched.
He didn't get benched like that, though.
This is Jimmy's team.
Contempt.
This is Jimmy's team. He's done a great job for 11 days later, he got benched. If Kyle Shanahan lied to me just carried it 2 months ago,
That was a lie.
Why in the world would I believe him now? The other thing I have for you, sir, on my first lap, because my first lap, I'm just going to cut you twice. I'm just going to cut you twice and watch you bleed a little bit. Of active start, well, Jimmy G's not an active starter anymore because he got hurt. But of quarterbacks who didn't get benched, Jimmy G got benched too. Let me just say it like this. Jimmy G leads the NFL in yards after catch. That means that his players, his receivers, his running backs are doing more of the work than he is. Jimmy G, 55% of his yards, Marcellus, have come after the catch. His receivers are doing more work for the quarterback than the quarterback. I rest my case. I ain't got to make a big case, but the case that I made is rested.
Look, Jimmy G is going to be the starter in San Francisco. They've come to the realization that you haven't come to yet.
What's that?
In court. You lying in court.
I put my right hand on the Bible.
First of all, he's going to be the quarterback going forward. Can't believe that you called him a liar because he wanted to protect his quarterback coming off an injury again versus putting him out there just because it was performance-based. That benching wasn't just explicitly performance-based. Be real about that. So you were misleading the witness. You were misleading everyone in the jury with that. So that's thrown out. That question's out. Now you don't have a case because now you want to talk about Jimmy GQ not being Jimmy GQ with the Midas touch. Talking about the San Francisco 49ers in the gold rush and someone who finally has the Midas touch. Where were the 49ers before Jimmy GQ landed there? Oh, that year in Kyle Shanahan's first year, 1-10. Look at Jimmy GQ, who has a record overall of 24-9 with his coach, which is a higher win percentage than without his coach, because without his coach, without Jimmy GQ, you know what this record is? 5-23. With any other quarterback not named Jimmy GQ. Just think about that, big dog. This is a sub-500 coach by far. His win percentage is 17% without Jimmy GQ. So he knows that Jimmy GQ is going to be the quarterback going forward. All he's trying to do is protect Jimmy GQ as he did in that benching and protect his salary cap because of Jimmy G's contract in the offseason. They're going to ask him, why are you always so injured? Oh, you don't have an answer? Well, we have an answer. Can we put some protection into your contract because you're off injured? It's just as simple as that. Anything else is being exaggerated.
Speaking of protection, Marcellus, you gonna need some, because I'm coming from the top rope. You fighting me with all these words, but there's one thing I've learned, sir. The big guy in the sky, it don't lie. It's time to head to the big board.
And do what?
Because the big guy in the sky, it doesn't lie. So I got to show you why Kyle Shanahan doesn't think. He knows that he can do it without Jimmy G. Let's go back to week 1 of the season. Kyle Shanahan knows this. At the top of the screen, you're going to see linebacker Isaiah Simmons. He's a rookie. He's going to be highlighted on his 6th play in the NFL. Kyle Shanahan says, wait, Isaiah Simmons is going to be man-to-man on my running back, Raheem Mostert, the fastest running back in the league. So what is Kyle Shanahan going to do? Run an angle route. Mostert on Isaiah Simmons. Just like that, I got him beat. Jimmy G has to throw the ball. Marcellus counted up 11 yards. What does Mostert do? He takes the ball the rest of the distance, 75 yards. Now, if you look at a box score, you're going to say, wow, Jimmy G threw a 75-yard touchdown. But when you know that the big guy in the sky don't lie, Sal, what you know is, Kyle Shanahan actually did all the work, and Jimmy G, he just had to play pitch and catch like you do in your backyard with your kids.
Interesting you say that, but then why doesn't it work for any other quarterback? Why doesn't it work for anybody but Jimmy GQ? I will repeat, 5-23 with any other quarterback on this roster over the years. So if he's just doing all the work as the offensive coordinator / head coach, why isn't it working with anybody else not named Jimmy GQ? You know why? Because you, once again, are omitting some of the stats that support Jimmy GQ. I wonder who is 12th in yards per attempt this year. That's higher than Kyler Murray, higher than Tom Brady, who, oh, my God, is the MVP candidate. May win the MVP this year. Oh, it's Jimmy GQ. I wonder who's 10th in yards per completion, higher than Justin Herbert, who we know could throw that football and throw it far, and Josh Allen, who has a big arm as well. 2 big gunslingers. I wonder who has a higher yards per completion. Jimmy GQ. I wonder who has a higher quarterback rating than Joe Burrow, who everyone is saying, oh, my God, he's the next thing. Even as a rookie, he has veteran presence. Oh, it's Jimmy GQ. The point is, you can dance, you can dress this up all you want, but as soon as you put that same outfit on somebody else at the quarterback position, all of a sudden you start to realize how valuable, how important Jimmy GQ is. All right, we got to bring in somebody to tell the score right here. Fox NFL analyst LeVar Arrington. So, LeVar, you buying that Shanahan expects Jimmy G to be the 49ers starter next year?
Oh, why you always
Thank you, my dog.
Why you always lying? Come on, Kyle Shanahan. Why you always lying?
How's he lying? How?
All right, this is why he's lying. This is why he's lying, okay? Right now, Jimmy G has done an excellent job for Kyle Shanahan's coaching career resume and win totals. I will not deny or fight that. And you touched on it, but you breezed over and you kind of justified it and moved on from it. But it is the injury situation, Marcellus. I mean, let's be honest here. When you're talking about the amount of cap space they would create, it'd be $24 million, 24.1 to be specific, and it'd only be 2.8 million in dead cap space. You have carried me this far, Jimmy G. You've carried me to a Super Bowl. You missed a couple plays, but nonetheless, you carried me to a Super Bowl, and you've carried me to a winning season since you've been a part of my starting quarterback position. But you continue to get injured, and we are not having that great of a year right now.
Talk about
I just don't think he's married to the commitment factor of bringing Jimmy G back as the starter next year.
Gentlemen, you know what's so intriguing? The enemy of great is not bad. The enemy of great is not terrible. They might be the antonym, but they're not the enemy. The enemy of great is good. Jimmy G is good. But Jimmy G, Kyle Shanahan realizes, is not great. What does Kyle Shanahan realize, Marcellus Wiley?
What?
Kyle Shanahan realizes it in 2008, I believe it was, maybe 9. He turned Matt Schaub into a Pro Bowler. Kyle Shanahan realizes that in 2012, turned Robert Griffin into the NFL's Rookie of the Year. Kyle Shanahan realizes in 2016, he turned Matt Ryan into the NFL's MVP. Kyle Shanahan realizes in 2019, he turned Jimmy G into a Super Bowl quarterback. So who can he turn into greatness next? He turned these people into them things. Matt Schaub, outside of Kyle Shanahan, he snuck into one more Pro Bowl over the next, I think, 8 years. Robert Griffin, outside of Kyle Shanahan, I don't really know if he did. Matt Ryan, outside of Shanahan, he ain't been an NFL MVP winner again. So, if you're Kyle Shanahan and you're looking around, you're saying, wait, I turned all that into all of this. Imagine what else I can do. I have the Midas touch.
Oh, really? And so did that Midas touch work with Brian Hoyer when he was with you, Kyle Shanahan? 0-6. Did it work with C.J. Beathard, Midas touch? 1-9. What about Nick Mullins? He's still up there. What up, Nick? 4-8.
Bill Belichick couldn't fit
4-8.
Okay.
Oh, but then Jimmy GQ comes in, and the best-looking guy that you know. 24-9, Kyle Shanahan. What you want to do now, partner? Nothing. This is the problem. You guys don't understand what's at play right here. This is elastic language, politics 101. You got to talk out of both sides of your mouth a little bit. Why? Because you have something to protect going forward. I talked about it. LeVar talked about it. It's the injury concern. Jimmy G in a nutshell. Jimmy G first gets his starting opportunity when? So crazy. When there's a 4-game suspension for you, Tom Brady. Jimmy G, we need you for 4 games. That's it. Jimmy G couldn't even finish those 4 games. He only gave him 2. And then they were like, damn. So then he gets out of town. He goes to San Francisco. Sorry, team. Couldn't win a game. Oh, they win 5 straight. Jimmy G, here's your money. We can tell you never lost as a starter. You're 7-0. Here you go. Jimmy G comes out the next year, starts slow in a couple of games, injured again. Damn. The only thing wrong with you is you can't stay right. You can't stay available. Then, finally, he stays healthy for an entire season. What does he do? Take him to the Super Bowl with a lead in the 4th quarter. Oh, my God, Jimmy GQ. This year, injured again. The only thing they're trying to protect is the contract situation. The love, the affinity for Jimmy GQ has not went anywhere. Because Kyle Shanahan knows, without Jimmy GQ, I wouldn't be the head coach of this team right now. But y'all trying to make it seem like they actually are trying to buy services at the quarterback position.
Sir.
They're shopping. My wife knows the difference. You should too. There's a difference between buying and shopping. You can look, but don't purchase, and they're not going to do that.
Here's what your wife probably also knows the difference between. You mentioned love, Sal. The problem with the English language is we don't have enough definitions for certain words. Love. I love Chipotle, but you love your wife. How you love them both?
Yeah.
See, but when you talk about, I believe it is Greek, love, you have agape, you have phileo, you have different types.
Go to church.
Agape, you got that unconditional love.
Baby.
Phileo, that's not brotherly love. That's where Philadelphia comes from. Sal, they might have brotherly love, for Jimmy GQ, but it definitely is not no agape unconditional. Jimmy G, we finna ride with you and die.
In the NFL has agape love. Tom Brady's playing for Tampa because there's no agape
so my very simple point. The point is that Jimmy G is not about to be there next year. Don't talk to me about, they have love for Jimmy G. Oh, they just care about him so much. Oh, my God, their emotions for Jimmy G are just the greatest.
You've been wrong about Tom Brady. You've been wrong about the Bucs. You've been wrong about Russell Wilson. You've been wrong about Jerry Jones. Do you want to continue to be wrong about all these things? You want to put a bet right now that Jimmy GQ will be the quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers next year? Name the price. I could go high. I could go higher.
Put a Fox check on it.
A what? A what's that? Hell no, this check is too good up here not to get hit for me to be betting on Jimmy GQ, but he will be the quarterback next year. Coming up, James Harden reportedly, you crazy, wants to be part of a super team with KD and Kyrie. We'll tell you if moves like this help or hurt the NBA. Next, I got too many kids for that.
Put a game check on it.
No.
I just want to hold $5, Marcellus. Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. Let's head to the NBA. It's already been a crazy offseason. James Harden is reportedly focused on being traded to the Nets to join Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving and form the NBA's next super team. Well, Russell Westbrook could also be on the move, joining other All-Stars like Kawhi Leonard and Anthony Davis, who have recently switched teams. So, Marcellus, let's talk about something that we've seen for a while now. That's player mobility.
Yeah.
Is player mobility helping or hurting the NBA?
It's helping the NBA. You got to take a deep dive. Under the hood, and let's see how this engine works. You got to know the structure of the NBA. It's a star-driven league. So you have to erase a lot of the memory that you have from the NFL experience.
Okay.
When in our experience, we're not star-driven. We're uniformly a team-driven league. I learned this from my player association days as a player rep and looking at how they even market the sport. The NFL looks at it like, I want all of these guys to wear the same uniform. I want them all to look the same in terms of when they're out there doing their performance. You know why? Because I want them to be interchanged, go forward, despite the loss and the additions of star players. So you can look at a situation in the NBA and you can see already the contrast. They're star-driven. The players are the face cards in a deck that you need to reshuffle all the time because there's only so many face cards. There's only so many really eye-popping personas and players in the NBA. So they're reshuffling themselves, and that's a positive. Because imagine if you're sitting there in one of those small markets. You're like, when are we going to win a championship? When are we going to get a star player? What? Did they reshuffle the deck once again? Brooklyn Nets. A few years ago, it wasn't even a Brooklyn Nets in existence. Now, you're going to go out there and say you got a big three, potentially? All of that is just what the NBA has done. They've been able to reshuffle the big faces of their league constantly. And that leads us to having greater interest in the sport. So I see how it's helping. I can understand there's a cause and there's a concern how it can hurt because you don't see the stability. But to me, the greater of the two is the help.
Big dog, player mobility is actually killing the NBA. But let's clarify player mobility. I'm not talking about when a player hits free agency, LeBron James, and leaves in free agency. I'm not talking about when a player hits free agency, Kevin Durant leaves and hits free agency. What? I am talking about when players force their way out of locked doors and locked contracts to go somewhere. I'm talking about Kyrie Irving forcing his way out of Boston. I'm talking about Kawhi Leonard forcing his way out of San Antonio, although health reasons, I get that. I'm talking about players forcing their way, AD, out of the Pelicans and telling them where I want to go. Here is why. So let's go back to 2006, shall we? 2006, the Suns, you got Nash, you got Amari. Mavs, you got Dirk, you got Josh Howard. Spurs, you got Tim Duncan, Manu, Tony. Shall we keep going? The Golden State Warriors, you got Baron Davis, you got Matt Barnes. You had parity across the NFL. Lakers, you had Kobe across the NBA. You had parity, and so it increased interest. Now let's fast forward. From 2015 to 2018, Marcellus, I don't care what happened from the last week of October to the middle and last week of April. Wherever LeBron James was in, he was going to be there, and the Golden State Warriors were going to be there. All them 82 games, or 82 times 30, so 2,400 games, meaningless. No matter what happens, because what we know is the Warriors and LeBron James are going to meet. We knew that for 4 straight years. But back in the days before player mobility, I'm not talking about like legal player mobility, I'm talking about forcing themselves out of contracts. Before that, you had 8-seed Golden State Warriors beating 1 seed Dallas Mavericks. There was so much parity in said conferences that you never knew what was going to happen. Now, I understand what you're saying, because you're talking about a game like roulette. You're talking about a game like, oh, well, there's a chance that you might not be good for eons, and then all of a sudden you might be great. But I would rather the chances of, on any given year, not any given decade, but any given year, a team might be great. Let's bring in another guy with another better opinion, NBA analyst, Slick Rick. Slick, it's been too long, my brother. It's good to see you. But is player mobility helping or hurting the NBA?
Without question, it is hurting the NBA, and it's hurting it in the worst place possible, in its pocketbook. Marcellus, you are right in that the mobility creates the hope and the prospect of a superstar going someplace else, and fans get the opportunity to speculate and argue. It does sell hope, but what it does not sell are more tickets, because ultimately all of that argument and speculation is happening on social media and on TV shows like ours. But is it creating any revenue? Not for the NBA. That's their great issue, is we're more popular than ever on social media. There are more people talking about us because there's that prospect of superstars joining up in various places. But it's happening in places that the NBA cannot harness revenue-wise. Meanwhile, you have fans who sense a disloyalty and a loss of spirit of competition and a general arrogance by players that, hey, I'm just going to go wherever I want, and it doesn't matter whether I have a contract or whether I've pledged allegiance to a particular team. And that is creating disaffection by fans who do buy tickets and do buy jerseys and do buy NBA league passes. And so ultimately, the bottom line is this has not been good for the league. It's gone way too far.
Well, look, I think that's displacing your anger if you're a fan, or seriously, if you're a fan, or if you're even a part of the NBA office, you got to understand where you need to place your anger. You're placing your anger in the wrong places. This needs to be something that you need to own up to. When you knew that free agency became a thing, when you knew that players weren't of the 80s where they're going to stay, where the general manager said that they had to stay, that players were starting to gain control. When you saw Michael Jordan finally start to say, I'm taking one-year contracts in the 90s, you should have known what you needed to do in terms of marketing your sport and in terms of way that you're going to project going forward. The NFL did, 92, 93, Reggie White and Plan B free agency, they realized players could go wherever they want now. So guess what? We need to counter that by marketing the teams as a whole instead of the individual players. But the NBA, hey, coming off a tape delay and finally seeing it pop with Magic and Bird and then Jordan, said, that's the way. Follow the stars. And look where the stars have taken you instead of you having a counter plan to that by changing how your direction and engine goes. Looking at all that, it's just a simple argument of uniformity versus star power. So I'm not upset at the players because the players are just exercising their freedoms. The fact that they have that power. If you want to get into a situation where you're going to look at the contract like you just did, Acho, and say you need to honor the contract, I agree with that. But that means that the teams have to honor the contract just as well, NBA and NFL. But when you know that that is not a two-sided conversation, when you know that that's not going to be a uniform conversation, then you get exceptions like this. NBA ratings are not down just because of stars moving around. We all know what the NBA Finals is going to look like. LeBron, wherever he is, and it was the Warriors or whatever other team, Spurs. It's the same candidate. So now we're going to blame that when it's always been that way? It doesn't make sense.
But, Sel, let me point to a mark of delineation between what you said. You said the players are just exercising their freedom, exercising their power.
Yeah.
There's a difference. See, there's a difference between exercising your freedom and exercising their power. I don't have a problem with players exercising their freedom. I have an issue with players exercising their power. That is the difference. Freedom, LeBron James, free agent. He was free. Freedom, Kevin Durant, free agent. He was free. Power, James Harden, not a free agent. Get me up out of here. But really, my issue and my biggest point of contention with all of this is this. I don't like things being rendered meaningless. I don't like the sport being undermined by the players within the sport. What the heck do I mean? Again, I told y'all 15-18, we knew it was the Warriors versus LeBron. So what did that mean? 2,400 games were rendered meaningless. Let's talk football. 2016 Super Bowl, it was the Patriots versus the Falcons. It's 16 or 17, whatever the case may be. The Falcons had the MVP that season in Matt Ryan, the best quarterback playing in the biggest game of the biggest moment, overtime. Matt Ryan didn't even get the ball in overtime because of overtime rules. Matt Ryan was rendered, the NFL's MVP was rendered meaningless. Whenever things in sports are rendered meaningless, they undermine the sport. Player mobility, Marcellus, is rendering games meaningless, and that is why it is bad for the sport.
Yeah, Marcellus, you're right in that it's not the players' fault, and I don't disagree. I mean, I don't fault them for exercising whatever they can, whether it's power or freedom. The league did this to themselves because they've continued to shorten contracts because they didn't want to get hung up with paying guys exorbitant numbers way down the road. So in a way, they've done it to themselves, but it still comes back to the same thing. Does it help or does it hurt? We have a credit card that has created a commercial about being able to trade in the jersey that you get in order to get the new jersey because your superstar just left your team and went to another one. And what do we see in that commercial? All these fans pounding their heads on their steering wheels and gnashing their teeth sitting at the breakfast table with their kids because they left. That's a capture of a real emotive thing that is going on with fans across the country. You can't tell me that right now the Houston Rockets fans aren't looking at James Harden and Russell Westbrook and the team and saying, what? These guys are just up out of here because they decided that they can't get it done here? And do you think that they are going to embrace the next guys that come in? Or are they going to go, you know what, I'm kind of tired of this. Why am I buying into season tickets? Why am I buying into this team when I have no guarantee that the guys that I've fallen in love with are going to stay here?
Yeah, it's interesting, man. The conversation of blaming the teams, blaming the players, or blaming the NBA as a whole. Where I really want to put that focus is on the NBA as a whole, where they made a conscious decision because it was beneficial for them in the time that they made that decision to ride their horses, to ride their superstars. And now they're riding their superstars and not liking the results. Well, then that's based on your decision there. The power, the freedom, whatever word you want to use is the fact that the owners in the middle of the night can use their freedom or their power to make a player go from one city to the other. And now we're going to have this issue because the players are saying, oh, I return fire. I shall do the same thing that you can do as an owner. But no one has a complaint about that. The last point I want to push back on is with you, Acho, saying that if the season is meaningless, then guess what? Your interest is going to wane. I don't know. Last time I checked, I watched college football. You watch college football. You cover college football. You love college football. And if you look at that situation, is it really meaningless? Think about it. If you look at a college football playoff scenario every single year, Clemson, Alabama, then you can throw out 6 other schools that in the last 6 years have made it. It's Ohio State, Michigan State. Like, it's the same damn dozen, the same dirty dozen. But that college football and this playoff system is not meaningless. It's not a situation where you don't care for it. I think the NBA has a greater problem, but they're trying to put the problem on something that is not the issue. The NBA itself is the issue. Coming up in our big story, Zeke has not eaten up a lot of yards this year. We'll tell you if his time is running out with the Cowboys next. Speak for yourself. You watch it Speak for Yourself. Marcellus Wiley, Emmanuel Acho over there. Nice time. That's all. Let's head back to Dallas for our big story. Cowboys 2-7, and a lot of eyes are on Ezekiel Elliott. Zeke is tied for the second highest average salary among running backs, but it's not showing up in his stats. He's on pace for the fewest rushing yards in his career, and he hasn't had a 100-yard game this season. LeVar is back with us. But Acho, has time run out on Zeke with the Cowboys?
That's the easiest question you gonna ask me all. Ding! Time is up. The reason time is up is like, my guy has gotten worse each year. for the last 5 years. Typically, when we say that, that's hyperbole. Oh, they're getting worse each and every time they get. Ezekiel Elliott has literally gotten worse every year for the last 5 years, but he's really fallen off the cliff since he signed the deal. Now, this might sound hot take-ish. How can you say time is up? Zeke just signed a $90 million deal a year and a half or 2 years ago. Let me draw a parallel for you all. Zeke was drafted in 2016, first round. Todd Gurley was drafted in 2015. First round. At the same age of 25 years old, Todd Gurley, after he signed a big deal, he got let loose by the Rams. Ezekiel Elliott, it also looks like he is on that similar parallel, that similar trajectory. Zeke has regressed in a terrible way. Think about this also, fellas. This was when they needed you most, Zeke. Like, when the going gets tough, they say the tougher is supposed to get going. Big-time players make big-time plays, and big-time. I can give you any single football cliche that tells you Zeke is supposed to start balling right now, specifically when Dak got hurt. But when Dak got hurt, Zeke got worse. Zeke has the 6th most touches, most carries in the NFL, but is 11th in rushing yards. Of all running backs who meet the criteria, he's 32nd, I believe, in yards per attempt. It doesn't make sense to believe that time has not expired on Zeke. I have been waiting all season for Zeke to turn the corner. I've been waiting for Zeke to turn the corner. I said that the Cowboys would be better as a team after Dak got hurt because I believed in Zeke that much, and still was let down. I'm not even sure if Zeke's the best running back currently on the Cowboys roster. I do think the time is up on Zeke.
Oh, I'm certain he's not the best running back on the roster. It's Tony Pollard. We all know that. Yeah, time's run out in terms of how you're going to perceive who Ezekiel Elliott is. Remember Ezekiel Elliott, 2016, 4th overall pick, franchise player. Like, their marketing piece. When you look at the Cowboys, a lot of people think of the quarterback in Dak Prescott. A lot of that's just because of his contract conversation. But in reality, Ezekiel Elliott was the one because they were thinking when they first drafted Zeke, oh, okay, we're going to have Romo and Zeke. We're going to start getting our little 3-piece again like we did in the great Cowboy years. And that didn't come to fruition. Dak Prescott obviously took over for Tony Romo, and Zeke hit the ground running. But as Acho pointed out, time's up, big dog. They look for you when you're that productive early in your career. They reward you with the money. They look for that production level to not only stand pat or increase, enhance, because now you have the money and now you know you have our support and all of our investment in you. What has Zeke done since he got the money? Regress. And you look at a situation now where Ezekiel Elliott finds himself, where's the leadership? We don't have our QB1. We don't have our QB2. We don't even have a QB3. But Zeke, we have you. I know the offensive line is in shambles. It is not living up to its name because of injuries. I understand we have a potent wide receiver core, but we don't have the quarterback right now. So what we need is something dependable. What they don't have is Ezekiel Elliott being dependable. So I got to throw up this full screen that just highlights how bad Ezekiel Elliott's been year by year. He started off fast. You almost got to start at the bottom of this one to see the greatness, because if you see it right now at the top level, regression to the fullest definition. So Zeke, hate to say it, big dog, but the way that they thought of you and the way that they will think of you has drastically changed.
I got to disagree with both of you guys. And let me first start off by addressing the Todd Gurley comparison. It's not comparable because Todd Gurley didn't show durability physically. And I think that it opened up the conversations after he got his contract as to how they were going to handle the situation going forward with Todd Gurley. And he was clearly phased out of being a part of that offense long before they chose to let him go. To address the idea that Zeke has regressed and has become worse by the numbers is true, but it's also misleading and it's mistelling because this team has regressed as well. Now, I don't have no full screen stats to pull up about how the team has underachieved.
That's on you.
I'm not a host. I'm just here being an analyst. So I don't have very much time to do all those things. But with that being said, this team has regressed. And when you look at the success that he had early on in his career, it was clear that you had to shift your attention to stopping one aspect of the Dallas Cowboys offense, which was their running attack. Make them win the game in the air. We have not seen them be able to do that, even though we've seen Zeke had successful seasons. Because of how large his dead cap space is at 13.7, he gets another year. I don't think his time has run out yet. He gets another year.
Come on, L.A. Now, look. You can't make your argument the fact that the Cowboys have regressed, and as a result, Zeke has regressed, because now we got to play that old age question of what came first, the chicken or the egg. What regression caused what regression? I would submit that Zeke's regression has caused in large part, the Cowboys' regression. LeVar, sometimes when you're a statistician, as I like to think of myself, as I'm a stat guy, I like numbers, LA, because numbers can back up a point. Sometimes you see numbers that make your jaw hit the ground. And I was looking today, LeVar, of the top 20 players in the NFL, leading the NFL in fumbles, the list of the top 20 fumble leaders in the NFL. 18 are quarterbacks. 1 is a center for the Baltimore Ravens, and 1 is Ezekiel Elliott. 18 are quarterbacks, then there's a center, and then there is Zeke in the top 20. Mind you, Zeke is at 6. Zeke's not like 19 or 20. He's right there at 6. So if you're going to talk to me about the Cowboys' collective regression, then you have to talk to me about Zeke leading the charge for this collective regression by the Cowboys as well.
Yeah, no, I don't think he's leading the charge. Actually, I think that the injuries are leading the charge, and I think that us not knowing if Dak Prescott could be that franchise quarterback in regular game moments, not in garbage time moments, as to what this team was going to look like. And I think that that's the catalyst of all of this. Listen, I don't know how good you've been in your career, Acho. I know, Marcellus, at one point in time, you said in New York you were the guy. So let's just think back to when you were in Columbia, or even at your Pro Bowl years in the league. If there wasn't somebody else on that defense that was commanding the attention of what was going on, you were going to get a tackle fanning. You were going to get a guard waiting. And, for your troubles, you're going to have a running back waiting to chip you. And back in our day, it's possible that an actual fullback could have been in the backfield, and they were waiting for you as well. I have been in positions where I have been blocked by 4 dudes in one singular play. So the point that I'm making is that if you don't have the ability to take that attention and take that bullseye and make it a much smaller bullseye on your franchise guy, then you have to be looking at the fact that this team is not performing at a high enough level to actually give Ezekiel Elliott that fair opportunity to thrive as the running back for this team currently.
Yeah, but that doesn't work for 2 reasons. One, we know of running backs, or Christian McCaffrey comes to mind of late. You go all the way back to our days when Barry Sanders, where they didn't have good teams. You didn't even care about the quarterbacks. But then you were like, yo, that guy, we have to stop him.
Hold on now.
And we still couldn't always stop him.
They couldn't win games. They couldn't win games. Barry Sanders had some Herman Moore gave them the elements. They had Johnny Morton.
Bro, we ain't got to go fact check the names. I'm saying that did they win?
But what I'm saying is, no, they didn't win, but it was enough balance in the way that they were calling plays where Barry Sanders had an opportunity to run the ball.
Here's the thing. No one dives into the weeds when you're making second most amount of money at your position. And I've been there when I was second most to Michael Strahan in terms of position. And when I had the numbers, I never had these kind of conversations about me or with me. But when I didn't, you know what they started to whisper? This is how it starts. And I know I'm trying to help Ezekiel because I've been that guy before. This is how it starts. Oh, we understand, Wiley. We got rid of Perella and Junior Seau and Rodney Harrison. It's just you. You're getting double team, triple team. Don't sweat it, big dog. And then it gets into a conversation. Oh, we know you playing out of position. It's true. No, I'm going to tell you how the story ends. This is how the story ends. Oh, we're going to have to let you go because you know how much money you're making and you really didn't make up for the deficiencies that we had. So if we're going to pay you more to cover up some of the warts on this team, you got to cover them up. You can't be the same Ezekiel Elliott in your rookie year on a rookie deal, having 48 10-plus yard rushes, and this year only 13. You can't have 20-plus yard rushes, 14 your rookie year, and now only 1. And on that 1, you lost the ball as a fumble, and blame Dak Prescott, and blame the passing attack, and blame injuries because you are showing that this sports car does not rev the same no matter what's around it.
He needs more support, and that's what it comes down to. You guys are acting as though he doesn't need any support.
You can't get more support
and that's fine.
all the money.
The money doesn't equate to him having the support that he needs to have the success that everybody's looking for. The price tag dictates how we're viewing him, and that's fine. But that price tag will also give him an opportunity to at least have one more season because I don't think that there's trade value there. I'm not saying he's getting benched or he's going to be out of there. I'm saying they're perceiving you differently, and that starts you down that slippery slope of if you're eating up this much cap space, but you're not covering up deficiencies, guess what? You can't eat up that much cap space because we need to get other players that can hopefully cover up some of those deficiencies. That's the conundrum. I understand where you're coming from. It is a conundrum.
But there is a problem when you make that much money and don't make that many plays. Coming up, Patrick Mahomes is now the favorite to win MVP. We'll tell you if he has the award locked up next. All that money, none of them plays. Speak for yourself.
Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. Patrick Mahomes, he's now the front runner for the MVP award. That's according to Fox Bet. Mahomes has been on fire this year. 25 touchdown passes, only 1 interception. He's ahead of Russell Wilson, who's coming off a 3-turnover game. Yuck. And Aaron Rodgers. So, Marcellus, is Russell Wilson a lock?
You mean Patrick Mahomes?
Yeah. Patrick Mahomes, because definitely ain't Russell Wilson.
Let go of Russell Wilson. You in the Seattle fascination. Let it go.
I'm still trying to make Russell Wilson an MVP,
you
bro.
stop rooting? Do your job?
Trying to.
Okay.
Is Patrick Mahomes a lock? Throw away the key to an MVP.
No. Another no in terms of lock. No. Tom Brady is still in existence and doing great things out there. Okay, caveat. Let me say this. He has to win the division. You don't win the division, chances of you win MVP, slim to none. Hasn't happened since 2008 with Peyton Manning. So you got to win your division. Tough sledding. But, hey, Drew Brees is out for a few weeks. We don't know how Jameis is going to perform. We'll talk about that soon. That said, Tom Brady has the narrative, I think, in his favor. This is the fact that the 43-year-old GOAT is going to take Tampa Bay to the playoffs. I say that again. Imagine that headline. Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the playoffs. It's been a 12-year drought. This team, this organization has the most losses in major sports history. Worse than my Clippers. Like, their win percentage is worse than the Clippers. Amazing that Tom Brady has now brought a winning culture like that to this team. And what is this team? It's an evolving team. It's a team that's had a lot of injuries, banged up, evolving receiving core that goes out there now and watches Tom Brady have 4th in passing touchdowns, 10th in passing yards per game, and 12th in passer rating. You're like, that's not MVP level. Oh, you know why it is? Because the yards per game and passer rating are the same since his last MVP, 2017. Tom Brady's going to win this if there's anything comparable between him and Patrick Mahomes. And the numbers are comparable. So he stays right there and hovers around Patrick Mahomes. I think the fatigue of Mahomes and just the fact that, okay, he's playing great, but that's Patrick Mahomes. But Tom Brady took something from rags to riches. Tom Brady gets the nod.
The first thing I'm going to do, bro, is tell you why it's Patrick Mahomes. The second thing I'm going to do is tell you why it's not anybody else. It's Patrick Mahomes because he's the first quarterback in NFL history. 25 or more touchdown passes and 1 or fewer interceptions through 9 weeks. It's Patrick Mahomes because since week 6, 12 touchdowns, no picks, 303 yards per game. It's Patrick Mahomes because of his MVP resume. Patrick Mahomes, Marcellus, he's the only quarterback top 5 passing yards, passing touchdowns, passer rating, and touchdown to interception ratio. Again, the only quarterback in the top 5, y'all look at it, passing yards, touchdowns, passer rating, and touchdown to interception ratio. When you talk about quarterbacks who do things well, Russell Wilson throws a lot of touchdowns, but he throws a lot of picks. Russell Wilson throws a lot of yards, as does Aaron Rodgers, but Tom Brady doesn't throw a lot of yards. Russell Wilson throws a whole lot of touchdowns. Tom Brady doesn't throw as many touchdowns. A lot of quarterbacks do things excellently, but Patrick Mahomes, sir, he surpasses them all. Patrick Mahomes is a lock at this point, at this junction in time, to win MVP.
I can't say lock. I can say favorite. I can say that, but not lock. Lock means nothing you can do can get.
You can pick a lock. You can call locks, man.
Oh, damn. You in court, you in police, and you in picking locks. It's all right. Talk to your boy off mic. All right. The lock is the conversation I'm having. No, it's not on lock right now. Patrick Mahomes, I don't expect him to have a Russell Wilson or 2 kind of game going forward to undermine his campaign. But at the same time, I see Tom Brady. Everything Tom Brady does gets greater praise and greater criticism. So if Tom Brady continues to just do good things, I think he's going to get the bump in terms of that praise. For some reason, be real, if you go out there and read the pulse of the nation in terms of their enthusiasm with Patrick Mahomes, it's somewhere between amazing but expected, which is, I think, not going to help him in this campaign versus Tom Brady. Wow, you had no offseason, new coach, all these new players, and you guys did what? And more importantly, you did what? And then that whole narrative that I hate, but it will inject itself into this. You're 43 years old doing that? That's going to give him some trump cards in the conversation with Patrick Mahomes.
Let me tell you now, sir, because I'm not mad at your take, because it's hard to say it's a lot. Well, we get paid to make television, so what am I going to do? Not. Let me tell you why it's not everybody else. It's not Tom Brady because Tom Brady, he doesn't have the touchdowns that Patrick Mahomes has, and he has way more interceptions. 7 interceptions to Mahomes is 1, 23 touchdowns to Mahomes is 25, and I think Brady's already played 10 games, and Mahomes, I believe, has only played 9, if I'm not mistaken. So that's why it's not Tom Brady. Plus, the Buccaneers' defense, they actually should get more credit than Tom Brady, but I digress. It's not Russell Wilson because my dog has 10 turnovers in 4 weeks. I've searched all over to find 10 turnovers for Patrick Mahomes. I couldn't find them because I had to go back to week 14 of 2018. That's the last, that is the stretch in which Patrick Mahomes has turned the ball over 10 times. 27 games to Russell Wilson's 4. So that's why it's not Russell Wilson. Now let's talk about Aaron Rodgers. Because for y'all Packers fans, I respect it. It's hard to say Patrick Mahomes is a lock because of Aaron Rodgers. But let's think, Marcellus, what is the most memorable game for Aaron Rodgers this year? Not a trick question.
The Tampa Bay game getting smoked?
Tampa Bay game getting smoked. National television, primetime performance. We boosted it up. We all said this is a huge game for Rodgers. And on national television, he got smoked. But Patrick Mahomes, primetime game, Baltimore Ravens, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, 385 yards, smoked the former NFL MVP, I guess still reigning NFL MVP, Lamar Jackson. I just told you why it was Patrick Mahomes. Now I'm telling you why it ain't nobody else.
Yeah. That's the thing. I give you the Baltimore game and against the Baltimore defense, #1 scoring defense right now. So obviously you say yes. But it just seems like we've talked more Tom Brady moments, and there have been more good moments than bad moments. And we only talk so few of Patrick Mahomes moments, which is a factor in this conversation because there's a momentum. It's not always merit-based if you really want to go there in terms of the numbers, because Russell Wilson would sit there and say, hey, I've had numbers before, but I didn't have the conversation surrounding it. It seemed like last year Drew Brees had the numbers, but they didn't have the conversation around it, and then he aborted that like Russell Wilson did this year. I'm just looking at this simply as this. Russell Wilson's out. Kyler Murray, I love you, big dog, a little too soon. And then Aaron Rodgers, we saw the stinker. And Tom Brady's stinker has been erased of sort because he continues to rebound every time he puts up that stinker. It's a 2-man race. It's not a lock for Patrick Mahomes, even though I give you that. He is the favorite. Coming up, Damian Lillard made the play-in tourney a must-see in the bubble, but we'll tell you if it's a good idea moving forward. Keep that going. Next, speak for yourself. Speak for yourself. Welcome back. Let's return to the NBA, where Damian Lillard put on a show in the play-in tourney back in August. The bubble is gone, but the play-in idea is not going away. NBA approved the format to continue next season on a 1-year basis, but with some changes. In the new format, the teams with the 7th and 8th best records in each conference will play for the 7th seed, while the 9th and 10th best records will play for the right to meet the loser of the 7-8 matchup for the 8th seed in the playoffs. Did y'all get that? Me either. All right, so Slick Rick the Bucher is back, but Acho, is the play-in tournament a good idea?
Terrible, 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 terrible. What did I just tell y'all about 30 minutes ago about making games meaningless? The reason that everybody loves the NFL and the playoff format is because the games matter. When you only got 16 of them, you got to win every single one because they all matters. If you don't win them, you don't go to the playoffs. Well, if you do make it to the playoffs, even then, getting that #1 seed and getting a bye, it matters. The meaning, it matters. College football. The reason everybody is pushed back against expanding the playoffs is because you don't want to make games meaningless. In college football, you really can't lose one game. If you lose one game, your national championship hopes are just about over. You for sure can't lose 2 games. But now, in the NBA, let me get this straight. You gonna play 72 games this season in a shortened season. And after those 72 games that you've played, you still want them to play more to figure out who's gonna get in? What I just played them other 72 games for? After 72 games, the 10 seed has earned the right to be the 10 seed. The 9 seed, they've earned the right to be the 9 seed. And the 8 seed has earned the right to be the 8 seed. We've already played all these games. Why would you undermine what you've just finished doing for some nothingness, for some meaninglessness? I hate the idea. I think it's a terrible idea. We already have March Madness, okay? If y'all want to see play in and die, if you want to see that, watch college ball. That's what we have that for. You don't need to bring that in the NBA in perpetuity.
Acho, I'm going to meet your terrible, terrible, terrible with I love it, I love it, I love it.
Yeah.
I love that they've gone from 82 to 72, and I love that they haven't made games less meaningful, they've made them more meaningful, because here's the deal, there's a carrot at the end of making the playoffs, which is you get lots of millions of dollars because you're able to sell extra, whether it's TV revenue or whether it's tickets, and we'll ultimately see where we are. But the fact is that now, if you're one of the top 6 seeds, you can't stop playing because you don't want to fall into the 7th or the 8th. Meanwhile, if you're the 12th, 11th, 10th, or 9th, you have a reason to play out the season and make those games meaningful, because you could jump into one of those spots and wind up in the postseason. And look, I'll be honest. I'm going to share something with you guys that I generally don't like to admit. But for a long time, it was very important to me that the right team, that the team that was the best team actually won the championship. It's why I always had a problem with the NCAA tournament, because the one and out and various places you're going to play, the best team doesn't always win. The circumstances are just, it's a roll of the dice. It's who's hot on a given day. You know what? I don't care about that anymore. I just want to be entertained. And the one-game playoff in these circumstances was so exciting to see in the bubble. Maybe the most exciting games that we saw. I want more of that. So wed the NCAA tournament with what the NBA already has. I am all for this. I wish they had done it sooner.
Yeah, I'm all for this as well. It's interesting you say that, because it seems like Acho, he hasn't learned his lesson just yet. Like, we're all in.
You always trying to teach me a lesson, bro.
Well, look,
you got kids for that, Sal. You always trying to teach me a lesson. Like, I ain't up here saying, Daddy, down, need your lesson, Sal.
Hey, all of us need to keep learning, or we're not living. And that's the thing. You can't live in this world and not learn from this world, Acho. We're all in the entertainment business right here. And in this world has taught us, society teaches you as well, you're going to punish the poor. So guess who are the poor teams in the NBA? The ones who don't make the playoffs. Now, in our world also, there's no middle class. So you 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th seeds, y'all gonna have to fight, because y'all gonna either get punished or you get rewarded. That's what the world teaches us. And then the top 6 seeds, y'all protected, but y'all gotta earn your protection. That's how the world works. That's how the NBA is working right now. To me, it's amazing, because this has no downside. Think about it. All we're doing is spicing it up and shaking it up and shuffling the bottom seeds. You know when the last time an 8 seed has won the NBA championship? Oh, he hasn't. Never. You know when the last time a 7 seed ever won an NBA championship? Oh, they haven't. Ever. Only a 6 seed and a 4th seed. You got to go back to 95 and 1969 when none of us was here, including you, Slick Rick. Point of it is, this is just shuffling for entertainment value at the bottom. All these middle-class seeds. Who gives a damn? They're not going to win anything anyway, but they're going to spice it up some.
What, Marcellus, everything you and Slick are saying is pointless. It's meaningless. It is of no merit. It is of no value. No, let me tell you what's meaningless. Slick came up here and tried to tell me, well, Acho, now the 12th seed, they still have something to play for. Bruh, Slick, if after 72 games, 70 games, you still a 12 seed, I'm sorry. You just sorry.
No, that clock starts with the 60th game or the 55th game.
Sure. And if after 60 games, you've earned the right to be a 12 seed, you're a 12 seed. Why do you and Marcellus want to sit here and watch the bottom feeders watch catfish fight it out? Yeah. Y'all want to sit here and just watch the 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 seeds duke this out. So y'all just want to see more bad basketball because they're clearly the 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, or 12th seed. It's not the creme de la creme. It's not the cream of the crop. Y'all want to watch more bad basketball be played for what? For lazy entertainment purposes, which y'all look to? That doesn't make sense to me, gentlemen.
Bad basketball is when people are just playing out the string and not playing for anything or playing competitively. Yeah, sometimes the level of play isn't great, but if two people are going at it, look, you get a street fight and two guys are throwing haymakers, it may not be Floyd Mayweather, but the fact of the matter is you're going to go, damn, what's that? Look at that going on. And I'm not suggesting that violence is a place that we should go. I'm just saying entertainment is ultimately entertainment. The one other thing, just as an aside, that I see in the new element and why I think it is important that teams stay relevant and have this opportunity to jump in at the last second is because the league has said that it's not releasing the second half of the schedule, that it's going to release it at a later date. You know why they're doing that? Is because they know, like the overseas leagues are experiencing right now, they don't expect to have a zero count when it comes to positive COVID results. They know this is not the bubble. They are going to have positive results, and they are going to have outbreaks. And so ultimately, they're going to have to postpone some games, or at least they're anticipating that they may, and that they're going to have to move those back at some point and reset the schedule in the second half. This gives them the wherewithal to do that, but the flexibility of having play-in games also gives those teams that might end up as 8th, 9th, or 10th because of COVID, it gives them an opportunity to recover when it means most going into the playoffs.
Yeah, I see it happening in NFL with the playoff football and the 7th seed. And I think this is even more merit-based because it takes in consideration how you're playing in that moment. Are you hot when the playoffs start versus are you just iced in based on your seeding? And that happens a lot in the NBA. They get iced into their seeding, and it gets into the middle part of the season, latter part of the season. You get schedule fatigue. You see the teams just saying, hey, long as I'm in the top 4, I'm fine, because if I'm in top 4, I get a home game. Then you see the teams around 4 or 5 only fight, and then on the borders, on the extremes, no one's really fighting, because if you have a comfortable lead, you don't care. I think this puts it in a situation where at least 2 teams are not comfortable, the 7th and 8th seed, and maybe it goes into the 6th seed, the 5th seed, depending on how close it is. The point is, this doesn't make it more meaningless. It makes it more meaningful because more teams have to consider what other teams are doing. So I don't understand why Acho doesn't respect the popcorn that's going to happen from all these teams having to fight.
Gentlemen, I was recording this conversation because I'm going to play this when I go to sleep tonight as white noise. Y'all sound like my box fan. It's just loud.
Can it at least be black and white noise?
It's really just loud and obnoxious. Yeah, I can be black and white noise. Right, I see you, Slick. I acknowledge you and your race.
And me. I'm the black one. What the hell? Forgot about me?
I was thinking about black noise, okay? I see life through my lens. With that being said, gentlemen, here's what I cannot co-sign. Here's what I will not co-sign. You all have said it yourselves. An 8 seed has never won. A 7 seed has never won a chip. So why would I want to see these games be played
I have to answer you,
just when I know they're not actually going to affect the outcome?
Has the 8 seed ever beat a 1 seed?
Even better.
Sure.
That's why I want to see it.
But they have,
that's why I want to see it.
We've talked about this before. Slick, enter into me and Marcel's second domain, track and field. So there's a reason I don't go to the measly track meets around the corner where there's no talent.
Because you're too good.
No, because after you get past district and regionals, you got to go to state. I'm going to go to the state meet. Because when I get to the state meet, that's when I'm going to see the best players playing ball. Sure, you might see some tight races in district. You might see some tight races in regionals. But can I see the finals of the state meet? Because that's when I'm going to see the best competing. I don't just want to watch a tight race between the 9 and 10 seed for the sake of using my eyeballs. Okay, gentlemen?
Get him, Slick.
But when you go to that track meet, are you going to watch the discus as you wait for the 400 to show up? Or are you going to say, no, I'm not interested in any of the previews? You're going to watch all of it. Acho. One of my mantras is remain teachable. I offer it.
Get a sick one of my mic drop on your face.
Coming up, let's talk about someone who's remained teachable. That's Jameis Winston, because Drew Brees, he is out right now for the red-hot Saints, and Jameis going to keep that train rolling. That's next. Speak for yourself.
Where's it going?
Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. The Saints are rolling right now. 6 straight wins, but they'll have to keep it up without future Hall of Famer Drew Brees. Brees is out for possibly 3 weeks with a rib injury. Oh, that's tough. And Jameis Winston could be the Saints' next starter. Winston led the NFL in passing yards in Tampa last year, but he also led the league with 30 interceptions. So, Marcellus, real quick, let me know. Can Jameis Winston keep the Saints afloat?
Him? Hell no.
Ashy elbow?
Ashy elbow, 9 wristbands on. What the hell? No. I don't trust that face. No. Jameis Winston could ball. We know it. But he can't ball like Drew Brees. That's why he's behind Drew Brees. But in a situation where it's short term, can you trust Jameis Winston? God, I'm so on the fence with this because I know he has the pure talent. And I know he's at the Harvard education of quarterback schools, being a New Orleans Saint. But can he do it? Teddy Bridgewater did it, which is the only confidence I have. Teddy Bridgewater did it. Is Jameis Winston in the same arena with a Teddy Bridgewater in terms of talent and ability? Yes. Yeah. So that makes me say yes. But then I look at these numbers. I say Drew Brees is #1 in completion percentage. And last time I saw Jameis, he was 28th. That means accuracy. And that's how they run their offense if you watched it. Maybe they'll change their offense on the fly. But they are about ball placement and accuracy, shorter throws than not. That's not Jameis' strength. Then you look at his strength in terms of passer rating, in terms of all of the variables added up. Drew Brees is 4th. Jameis was 27th. I don't know where I'm going to get my confidence from other than the fact that I remember him at Florida State, and I remember him last year having highs and lows, and maybe for a 3-game stint that he can hold it pat.
Marcellus, I had a take coming into this block, but now I'm worried and I'm worrisome. Because Dion, I believe, said, look good. Feel good, feel good, play good, play good, they pay good. Can I get my one shot, please? Let me get my one shot. Let me zoom in. If you zoom in close enough on this one shot, you're going to see a fresh little fade. You're going to see a fresh little lineup. That's what you're going to see, because I take my job seriously. Now take me off camera and let's look at Jameis. Let's zoom in on Jameis, please.
Oh, don't do that, boy, like that.
In on Jameis, and let's see, this man is on national television making millions of dollars, and he did not have a fresh lineup. Now, y'all tell me, if I can take my job seriously enough, Marcellus, to understand if I look good, I will play good. If I play good, they'll pay good, all that stuff. That's why I'm worried about Jameis, because it's the details.
It's the details?
It's the details in life. Now, why I think Jameis will have success. Because Teddy Bridgewater, he was 5-0 when he was filling in for Drew Brees. He ain't been 5-0 this year at any point in time. Jameis Winston, sure, he did a lot of bad last year. I get it. Also threw for 5,000 yards, one of 8 quarterbacks in NFL history to do so. The other reason, I've told y'all this before, Jameis Winston has gotten far too much blame for all the interceptions he threw under Bruce Arians. Remember, I've told you this, and I'll say it again.
Blame the ball?
No, blame the head coach. Bruce had Peyton Manning career high in interceptions. Bruce had Tim Couch career high in interceptions. Bruce had Andrew Luck career high in interceptions. Bruce had Carson Palmer career high in interceptions. And Tom Brady, 7 interceptions through 10 games. He's only done that once in his previous 6 seasons. He's currently done that under Bruce Arians. We need to now start to realize and attribute some of the turnovers Jameis had to Bruce Arians. So outside of my dog's edge up, which is a big deal. It's a big deal. Outside of my dog's edge up, I do think Jameis will have success.
See, I know why he has that type of edge up, that type of look, because it's not a hard life to be a backup quarterback, holding a piece of paper and a clipboard. What the hell? But he has to show that he's working. I'm grinding. My mind is on the field. My mind is on my game. I ain't got time to be looking cute like you, Acho. And look, for our world, this works. Actually, I'm glad y'all don't zoom in on me, because I don't shave but once a week, and it gets rough Thursday and Friday shows. I'm ugly. But it's okay. But I understand why he's doing that. That's for appearance. That's for everyone knows I'm invested in this team about football. That said, I don't have a lot of confidence in all the numbers you're spitting. And you keep, want to blame Bruce Arians for this situation. Most giveaways since 2015. Has Bruce Arians been a coach since 2015? No. But Jameis Winston was the player. 111. 111. You're going to try to blame Bruce Arians for the 30 from last year? You can't do that. So Jameis Winston has a turnover problem, and it's greater than just Bruce Arians. Let's hope it's not as great that he carried that from Tampa to New Orleans, and hopefully he can ball and look a little better. Coming up Uncle Jimmy has something to complain about when he joins us. Can't wait to hear this. Next, speaking of the lineup, speak for yourself. Before we go, Uncle Jimmy is in the building. So he has some problems with the show. What's going on, Uncle?
Hey, man. Hey, both you chumps is coming off like some real bougetto men.
What?
Bougie-ass ghetto gentlemen. Like y'all done forgot where the hell y'all came from.
What happened,
Like y'all done forgot who made this possible. And I'm talking about the fans. The fans that watch this show, whether it's good, whether it's bad, they watch this show for one reason.
What's that?
For me. I got a bigger fan base than any of y'all. All right?
Okay.
My fan base is the meat and potatoes of this organization.
Oh, that's big.
And I'm going to tell you right now, they need more of Uncle Jimmy. And I can't guarantee it, but if y'all don't start giving them more of Uncle Jimmy, y'all going to have a problem.
You need more
I'm going to say this one time and one time only.
What?
Brown girls, stand back and stand down. Okay? There you go. I said it. Stand down.
And you need to do push-ups, at least 2. Fox Bet Live is next.